Welcome to the 910preps.com high school football preview for games scheduled Friday, September 27th. I'm Sonny Jones. The Sandhills Conference finally gets into conference play Friday night. 6 of the 8 teams in the league only have one loss. 4 of those are undefeated during non-conference play, and only 1 of the 8 teams has a losing record. Can you believe it? Now they start playing head-to-head, so something's got to happen. And the feature game of the week, the 910preps.com game of the week, will be Scotland at Jack Britt. Both teams come in undefeated, 4-0. Jack Britt coming off an exciting 27-20 win at New Hanover last Friday. Mason Walker scoring in overtime. The Jack Britt defense holding New Hanover, and the Buccaneers leave Wilmington with a big win that raised some eyebrows around the state. Now, coming to the Boneyard, the undefeated Scotland Fighting Scots, led by former Jack Britt coach Richard Bailey, and this figures to be a Donnybrook as well. Two really different offenses, if you will. Scotland relies on a strong running game. Jack Britt, with the passing combination of Kevin Sintel and Anthony Fifi, does it more through the air on offense. Defense may play a role as well. Both teams are very strong defensively. In fact, neither team allowing very many points. Scotland only allowing 8.7 points per game. Jack Britt this season allowing 16 points per game. Should be a good one Friday night at the Boneyard in Jack Britt. Other games in the Sandhills Conference, 71st will go on the road at Pinecrest. 71st is 3-1, Pinecrest 4-0. It's interesting to note, you might remember last year 71st played Pinecrest, Scotland, and Richmond all at home. Well, now those traditional Sandhills Conference powers, 71st hitting the road against all three. It starts Friday night against the Pinecrest Patriots. We'll see how the Falcons do on that one. 71st lost its last non-conference game 2 weeks ago, 21-18 to Southern Durham. And the Falcons have been tested by Cape Fear and E.E. Smith in earlier wins this season. Pinecrest has really played very well. They've scored at least 49 points in their last 3 games, so we'll see what happens in that one. Other games in the Sandhills Conference, Hoke County at Lumberton, Purnell Sweat at Richmond. Well, let's talk a little Patriot Conference football, where only 2 teams after 2 weeks of conference play are undefeated. One is Southview, the other is Terry Sanford. Now, Terry Sanford plays its final non-conference game of the season on Friday night. The Bulldogs will travel to take on the Rollsville Rams, and Rollsville, a very strong team. They are 4-0 this season. They've scored 185 points, allowed only 41, so going to be quite the road challenge for Terry Sanford. Terry Sanford made several changes to its lineup last week and its game plan in a 28-17 win against Cape Fear, and everything worked like a charm, I would say, for Bruce McClellan and group. Quarterback Jacob Knight passed for a touchdown, ran for a score. Jackson Deaver led a defense that was able to contain Cape Fear's offense. Now, within the conference, we mentioned Southview is the other team undefeated in conference play. 2-0, the Tigers will be at home against the Westover Wolverines. Westover picked up its first win of the season last Friday, a non-conference decision against Goldsboro, 28-15. Joshua Jones threw for 2 touchdowns. Keyshawn Lindsay ran for 2 scores. But this Southview defense is going to be tough to score against. The Tigers have allowed only 9 points in their 2 conference wins. Of course, Matthew Pemberton handles the offense. He scored 3 touchdowns last week in a 28-6 win against Douglasburg. That gives him 12 touchdowns this season, so he will be the man to stop for Westover. We'll see if the Wolverines can get a win in conference play. Other games in the league, Grays Creek will play at E.E. Smith. Grays Creek, what a turnaround in 1 week. You remember 2 weeks ago they lost to Southview 42-3. Last week they beat Pine Forest 55-21 with Jerry Garcia Jr. scoring 6 touchdowns, 5 of those running. He also has rushed for 827 yards this season, averaging just a little over 10 yards per carry. He'll be the man to stop for an E.E. Smith team that is trying to snap a 17-game losing streak. The Golden Bulls have come oh so close. They have lost 3 games this year by a combined total of 10 points. They were there. They lost a tough one last week against Overhills, 26-20, but could not pull it out. So we'll see what happens. Deshaun McCullough has shown quite the ability to pass this year for E.E. Smith. He's passed for over 1,100 yards. That's the most in Cumberland County. Has thrown for 12 touchdowns, with Daniel Dawson and Brian Davis each catching 19 passes. But that Grays Creek offense is going to be hard to stop. Other games, Douglas Byrd will play at Pine Forest. Both teams are coming off losses. Both need a win to stay in the Patriot Conference race. Both are 1-1 in league play. And the Overhills will be at Cape Fear. You know, it's interesting with Cape Fear, they just can't get in a good rhythm. They've only really played 2.5 games this season. You'll remember their season opener against Clinton was canceled. The 24-0 win at Lumberton was called at halftime, both of those games because of weather. So Cape Fear really has not quite got going. They lost last week, as we mentioned, to Terry Sanford, 28-17. Of course, they'll have to stop Overhill's quarterback, Chris Perkins. He's thrown for about 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns, as Overhills is off to a 4-1 start, 1-1 in conference play. So that's the way the games look Friday night around Cumberland County. Hope you'll check out the 910preps.com live scoreboard on Friday night, and on social media use hashtag Run910. We'd appreciate the updates. Let us know what's happening at your game. That's it for the 910preps.com high school football preview. I'm Sonny Jones.